What's up, guys? We're back with a full slate of NBA action here on Sunday, March 16th. We're going to break down every NBA game today. We're also going to look at every college basketball game out there. We're going to look at bets on the side and over-under, and make sure you check that pinned comment throughout the day to see if there are any changes as injury news and player availability is confirmed. Yesterday, guys, looked like it could be a pretty good day, but unfortunately not able to bring it home. We had Bryant minus 6.5, a solid blowout win for them, but we had Jacksonville State as our other college basketball pick. We had them plus 6.5, and they did not look good at all there in the second half. Kind of annoying there, but we had the Grizzlies at minus 7 over there on the NBA side. A comfortable win and cover there for the Memphis Grizzlies, but the Warriors let us down in weird fashion. Golden State not able to get a comfortable win against the Knicks, despite the Knicks not having Jalen Brunson. We had a chance late in that game, but Steph Curry missed a free throw with like 10 or 12 seconds left, and then OG Anunoby made a pointless three in the last couple of seconds of the game to eventually make that thing look way closer than it was down the stretch. So yeah, kind of annoying. A 2-2 day, but we've been running so hot lately, that's not a big deal. And on the premium side, guys, we went absolutely bonkers. We went 5-0 in our premium college basketball picks. We had Cornell minus 5.5. That was a win. We had Houston minus 7, another win. We had South Carolina State plus 2, an easy win there. We had George Mason plus 1, another win, and we had Tulane getting 9.5, a very comfortable win there for the Tulane team. So yeah, a 5-0 day over there for the premium members. Definitely consider hopping over to stumpthespread.com, checking out our premium content, checking out everything we offer over there. We got free bet size calculators. We've got free picks posted over there that aren't mentioned in this video. Generally speaking, that might not be the case today. We don't have very many games to choose from, but really, guys, it's a very good resource. We've got a ton of experience over there covering NBA, college basketball, NHL. We've got Major League Baseball, one of our best sports over the years, right around the corner. So definitely get over there and check that out. Also, guys, subscribe to the channel. We're almost at 50,000 subscribers. We're going to give away a free Stump the Spread hoodie once we get to 50,000 subs. Also, hit that like button. Do me a big favor, hit that like button. We put in a lot of work on these videos. Hitting the like button completely free, takes 1/10 of a second, and really helps these videos get promoted out there. And if we can ever get a video to get to 1,000 likes, we're going to be giving away a free hoodie to somebody down there in the comments. So also get in the comments, ask me anything you want to ask me. I'll be more than happy to get back to you as soon as I possibly can. As always, guys, our favorite picks will be in the pinned comment down below. Now let's get into our first game of the day. We've got the Philadelphia 76ers taking on the Dallas Mavericks. The 76ers come into this game not having a good time. They've lost 3 in a row now, so that probably doesn't feel good. And yeah, it's been a brutal season, guys. They're 22-44 on the year. They're starting to get investigated now by the NBA for, sitting these guys that maybe they shouldn't be sitting, or maybe they're not really injured. We'll see what goes on with that. But yeah, they're fresh off a 12-point loss there against the Pacers, and things are getting pretty bleak. We see Maxey, Kelly Oubre, Paul George, Andre Drummond, Lonnie Walker, and yeah, just the list goes on and on, guys. This is a team that is clearly tanking, clearly holding guys out of games, even when it seems fairly reasonable that they could be playing in these games. So very apparent here. The 76ers not trying to win games. In their loss there against the Pacers, we saw not the full strength 76ers. Obviously, we saw, kind of a big game there from Jeff Doughton Jr. This isn't a team that's putting NBA caliber players on the court. Yabusele is a monster. He's coming off a terrible game, though, so maybe struggling a little bit to stay locked in here on a team that's obviously and kind of blatantly tanking. So we'll see what they do here, see if they kind of get back on track or try here against the Mavs, who come into this game 33-35 on the year. They've lost their last 2 in a row and are really floundering here, but this team, another squad that has been completely devastated by injuries. The Mavs, guys, their starting lineup looks something like Brandon Williams, Max Christie, Klay Thompson, PJ Washington, and Dwight Powell. That is not what this franchise thought it was going to have. All the crazy stuff surrounding the Luka trade is absolutely insane to me. Obviously, Kyrie getting hurt is pretty bad luck. Anthony Davis getting hurt is kind of bad luck, but also not out of the realm of possibility. Like Kyrie Irving, at an age you can expect him to get injured. Anthony Davis has a pretty rich injury history out there as well. So definitely not a situation that the Mavs should have been comfortable with. The idea that they could just, be okay. Like these guys aren't going to get hurt. Like it was a possibility. To see it all pile up like this feels pretty bleak for guys like Klay Thompson and even guys like PJ Washington, who had a chance to have a good season this year. So we'll see what happens in this game, guys. The Mavs are actually 5.5 point favorites here at home. We've got a total of 244.5. The 76ers 12-19-1 against the spread this season. So yeah, not great against the spread on the road this year. The Mavs, guys, they are 18-16 against spread at home, 17-16-1 against spread after a loss. Philadelphia is actually 13-29-1 against the spread after a loss. The Mavs, guys, they're in the 10th seed right now. They're only a game and a half up on the Phoenix Suns, who seem like they might be trying right now. It's hard to tell. They've only won 4 out of their last 10 games, so it's a little bit tough to tell really how hard they're trying, but I do think this is a spot you want to side with the Mavericks. Unless we see some weird news that the 76ers are going to be playing, guys, I think this is a spot you want to be on Dallas. I trust this? Not a ton, but is it a reasonable spot? I also think it kind of is. Next up, guys, we got our first nationally televised game of the day. We've got a noon tip there between Orlando and the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Orlando Magic, 31-37 on the year, not having the season that they had envisioned, especially after a very, very good start. Injuries have devastated this team. They're down to the 8th seed. They're 6 games back of the Pistons, who are in the 6th seed right now, and yeah, no way they're going to be closing that gap. I don't even know if they can really hope to catch the Atlanta Hawks at this point, because it's been pretty bleak recently for the Orlando Magic. They're only 3-7 in their last 10 games. They come into this one fresh off a 118-111 loss there at the Timberwolves, so that's not ideal. This is just a team that has no offense. They really feel like they run no offense. It's either throw the ball to Banchero or throw the ball to Franz Wagner and hope one of them can go 1v5 and score, because they've got nobody to kick it to. There are no knockdown shooters on this team. I guess Tristan da Silva, if he gets wide open, maybe, but other than that, it's really, really hard to see anybody out there that's very helpful. We saw Caleb Houston put up 6 of 8 shooting tonight from 3 in a loss, and the Magic shot 42.9% from 3, which is insane for them, and still managed to lose this game by 7 points. They had very few answers out there for Julius Randle or Anthony Edwards, and they had 0 answers for that Timberwolves bench. So just a lot of negatives piling up very, very fast here for this Orlando Magic team. That's, yeah, it's disappointing. It's disappointing to see what has happened to this squad that looked so promising early on. So looking at the injury report here, we see Cole Anthony listed as day-to-day, but other than that, they're pretty healthy, and it appears Cole Anthony, there's a chance he'll play. He's questionable for this one with that toe issue. So looking at their opponent here, things have been quite a bit different for the Cleveland Cavaliers, guys. They are 56-10 on the year. They're fresh off another a nice win over the Grizzlies, a 9-point win there, and they've won their last 16 in a row. That's a franchise best number. So this team absolutely cruising. Are they going to be feeling the pressure of, this winning streak? I guess it's possible, but they can also lean on their recent history. They went to Orlando and got the 122-82 win. Yeah, 122-82. Yeah, blowout win there. The Cavaliers have been absolutely cruising. They're looking like the best team in the NBA to me right now. That's honestly, I think the Cavaliers look better than the Thunder. We'll see what, how things work out in the postseason if these two eventually meet each other in the finals. But right now, I feel like Cleveland is the better team at the moment. Looking at the injury report, we see Donovan Mitchell and Evan Mobley on there. Probably the two most important pieces for this team, so going to be pretty important to see them suit up here. Donovan Mitchell with a groin issue is listed as questionable for this game. Evan Mobley is questionable as well, dealing with right foot contusions. So right now, I honestly think it's a pretty good chance that both guys end up playing in this game. I think they can survive without them, but I don't think they can win and cover without them. However, if they do have them, the Cavaliers minus 10.5 is definitely a look. We got a total of 218.5. Orlando only 14-20 against spread on the road, 14-21-1 against spread after a loss. Cleveland 20-13-1 against spread at home, 36-18-1 against spread after a win. This team does not have drop-offs after win. They get even better. So, guys, I'm definitely taking the Cavaliers here at minus 10.5. Check on the pinned comment. Check on that injury report. You're going to have to be after it. You're going to have to be on top of things early in the morning, because this is a noon tip. But as long as Cleveland has at least one of these guys, and preferably both, I think they win this game walking away. Next up, guys, we're looking at the Phoenix Suns going on the road to take on the Los Angeles Lakers. The Suns come into this game 31-36 on the year, but fresh off of a nice and much needed 122-106 win there against the Kings. The Suns, guys, are still on the outside looking in terms of the play, and they are catching up to the Dallas Mavericks, but they're only 4-6 over their last 10 games. So it's not like they're playing their best ball right now at all, but they're getting a win. They, did some good things against the Kings, I suppose. We saw Booker put up 22 points, but not an amazing shooting night necessarily. KD put up 22 as well. 20 points off the bench from Tyus Jones was really the difference maker. He went 6 of 6 from long range, and the Suns shot a blistering 55.8% from 3 in the game. Can we count on them to do that often? You can't count on anybody to do that often. That is crazy work there. So we'll see what they can do in this matchup. Nick Richards is on the injury report. We're not worried about that. Grayson Allen probably out for this game, which makes a bad bench even worse. But yeah, I don't know, guys. We'll see what they do here against a very banged up Lakers team, which they're 40-25 on the season, but they've lost their last 4 in a row. They're playing a very, very crowded stretch of their schedule with all these tough road games. They just lost 131-126 at the Nuggets, which a game they honestly kept pretty competitive considering that they were drastically far from full strength, guys. We saw a huge game out there for Austin Reeves. Dalton Connect put up 32. You can see when this guy gets his chances to really go out there and ball why he was so upset about potentially getting traded there by the Lakers, because he has he's pretty good. And he can play some offense. The defense not so great. The playmaking also pretty questionable. But this guy can score it. So the Lakers got to be a little bit disappointed they let that one get away, but they had no real answers there for guys like Jokic or Christian Brown. He played amazing. So yeah, definitely not a great spot right now for the Lakers. They're going to be hoping they can, figure things out here because they're not going to have LeBron for a while now. We also see Hachimura, Jackson Hayes, Gabe Vincent, Dalton Knecht, Dorian Finney-Smith. All these guys are on the injury report, and Luka obviously on there as well. He's probable for this game, so sounds like Luka is going to go. Rui Hachimura continues to be, sidelined dealing with that knee issue. LeBron obviously going to be missing time with that groin that's been going on. Jackson Hayes, I don't think he really moves the needle for me too much either way, but I think, it sounds like he will play. He's probable, so he's been upgraded for sure. Gabe Vincent, questionable with his knee issue. Dalton Knecht, probable with back soreness. And Dorian Finney-Smith with his ankle is also questionable. So the injuries are starting to mount up for this Lakers team. They're currently clutching that 5 seed, but the Warriors are playing pretty well. They're 9-1 in their last 10 games. They're on a 7-game winning streak, so they are gaining ground rapidly on the Lakers and on the Memphis Grizzlies. So we'll see what happens here down the stretch, but it's shaping up to be a very, very interesting last few weeks of the regular season here in the NBA, especially out there in the top of the Western Conference. So look at the numbers here. The Lakers are actually 4-point favorites. We've got a total of 229.5. The Suns 15-20 against spread on the road, 7-22-1 against spread after a win. The Lakers 21-11 against spread at home, 12-12 against spread after a loss. This spread right here tells me that the odds makers very, very much expect Luka Doncic to play in this game. The Lakers being 4-point favorites here would feel bad, except for the Suns have just been so terrible lately, and they're so horrible coming off of a win. Guys, give me the Lakers here at -4. It's not going in the pinned comment. Don't love it. Don't have enough clarity on the injury report, but I do think the Lakers are slightly the side you want to be on. The Suns are just horrible coming off a win, and they're kind of horrible in general. Next up, guys, we're looking at the Atlanta Hawks going on the road to take on the Brooklyn Nets. The Hawks come into this game 32-35 on the season, which puts them currently in the 7th seed, but 4.5 games back of the Pistons. That's going to be a tough gap to close if you want to avoid the play-in. The Hawks come into this game fresh off a 121-98 blowout loss at the hands of the Clippers. Now they got to go on the road to take on the Nets. A little bit of a different situation there. Obviously, we've liked a good amount of what we've seen from the Hawks. I thought this was a team that's going to fold after the trade deadline, but that is not really what has happened. They've actually been okay here down the stretch. They are 6-4 over their last 10. Can't complain too much about that. They come into this one. Some guys on the injury report, some pretty important ones. Trae Young, Caris LeVert. We also see Clint Capella on there. Not that worried about Capella. Trae Young is probable with his ongoing, maintenance there of his Achilles. Caris LeVert, obviously a pretty important bench scoring piece for them. He's questionable due to left knee soreness. So we got to keep an eye on him. We'll see if he ends up suiting up. That makes a big, big difference in this spot. They're taking on a Brooklyn Nets team that's fresh off of a narrow 115-113 loss there against the Celtics. The Nets getting some pretty bad news. We see Cam Thomas likely out for the season there with his hamstring issue. And Brooklyn, not a team that's really incentivized to win right now, but they've got some guys that are kind of still trying. Cameron Johnson's putting up decent numbers. D'Angelo Russell is technically playing basketball, so I guess that's something to look at, but not a team that's been super scary. The Nets are getting 6 points here. We've got a total of 229. The Hawks, 17-15 against spread on the road, 16-18 against spread after a loss. Brooklyn, 15-17 against spread at home, 6-6 against spread on no rest. They are 23-10-1 against spread after a loss. Not probably a spot that's going in the pinned comment, guys, but I think Cam Thomas going down is actually a net positive for this team in terms of their competitiveness for this season. I don't think guys enjoy playing with him. He takes too many shots. He soaks up too much usage. So I think him leaving opens up more play for these other guys. Give me the Brooklyn Nets getting 6 points here. I think they find a way to keep things very close against this Hawks team in a game that probably goes down to the wire. And I see Atlanta winning, but probably by something around 2 to 3 points. Next on the docket, we've got the Toronto Raptors going on the road to take on the Portland Trail Blazers. The Raptors come into this game winners of 3 in a row and 6 out of their last 7 overall, which is kind of bonkers considering this team's only 24-43 on the year and nowhere near playoff contention. I mean, we've seen some decent stuff from the Raptors at different points this season, but it really has been kind of weird. I mean, they're 4 full games back. They're not going to do anything great now. The question for this team is constantly whether they are tanking or effectively tanking or not. And for this game, it looks like the tank might be on pause. It's hard to tell. We see Emmanuel Quickly, Grady Dick, RJ Barrett all on the injury report. We don't want all 3 of those to sit out. Quickly, due to rest, is being ruled out for this game. So that's not great. Seems like the tank is on here. Grady Dick, with his knee issue, he's not going to be playing in this game. And RJ Barrett is questionable due to an illness. So they're definitely not going to be rushing him back and forcing him to play. We also see guys like Walter, Abaji, Magobo all likely sitting this game out. Sneed as well. So not going to be the full strength Raptors by any stretch of the imagination. So we'll see what that looks like here as they go on the road to take on the Portland Trail Blazers, another team that can't seem to figure out if they are tanking or trying to win either. Portland out of the playoff hunt there in the West. They come into this game fresh off a 1-point loss there against the Knicks, though, so they're clearly a team that is trying, at least at some points. We see Anthony Simons and Jeremy Grant both on the injury report here. Simons, guys, questionable due to right hand soreness, and Jeremy Grant with his knee issue is listed as doubtful for this game. So it's kind of a battle of two teams that are trying to tank it out. We see, Portland 7.5-point favorites, a total of 229.5. Toronto 18-13 against the spread on the road, 14-9 against the spread after a win. Portland 19-13 against the spread at home, and 20-18 against the spread after a loss. This is a tough spot, guys. I really wanted to be on the Toronto getting 7.5 points, but with how many guys they're sitting out, can I really justify that? Well, it's going to be a little bit tough. Obviously, we've seen some good things from this team in general, but lately it's been a little bit sketch. I mean, we're going to see a bunch of Shadion Sharp and Scoot Henderson in this game. Denny Adjeva is good to go. I'm kind of liking the Portland Trail Blazers here. Toronto seems like they're tanking. They're playing away from home, which isn't necessarily ideal for them. Go ahead and give me Portland here at minus 7.5, but once again, guys, probably not able to put this in the pinned comment. Next on the docket, we got the Utah Jazz going on the road to take on the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Jazz come into this game 15-50 on the season. Not great. Fresh off another loss, they now ran up, 8 straight losses or something. This team constantly and incessantly tanking. They need to be investigated for holding out healthy players because that is certainly something that's going on here. I mean, you just lost to the Raptors 126-118. That's not a great loss, and you just continue to reel off losses at an absolutely alarming rate. They've been holding guys like Colin Sexton, maybe not so much Colin Sexton, but Markkanen, Kessler, Cody Williams. We've seen Keontae George and Jordan Clarkson definitely miss games where they would appear to have been most likely healthy. So this team has been sitting some guys. They've definitely been sitting some guys, but that's not happening in this one, guys. We see Collier, Sexton, Cody Williams, Markkanen, Kessler all ready to go for this game. Filipowski ready to go as well. There's reason for optimism here for the Jazz, especially in the future. The question really is there room for optimism for them in this game? Well, they're going to go on the road here to take on the Minnesota Timberwolves, who are fresh off of another win. They've been playing well recently, winning 7 in a row. They did have one nice win in that stretch over the Nuggets, but other than that, a pretty pedestrian schedule. So not time to get super hyped up right now. I'm not all in on this Minnesota Timberwolves team. They're not suddenly, oh my God, they're good again. I'm going to need to see it happen against somebody that's, a really good playoff team. And while that win over the Nuggets can look good, it just doesn't really completely get me going here. I would love what we've seen from Anthony Edwards over the course of the season and recently. So that's all nice. They come into this game fully healthy, which is very, very important. I mean, Mike Conley, Anthony Edwards, Jaden McDaniels, Julius Randle, Rudy Gobert, all ready to go. Having DiVincenzo in the starting lineup for a bit and now coming off the bench again is also obviously a very, very good thing for this team. But is that all going to translate into consistent winning or in this situation into a blowout win? We'll have to see, guys. I'm still not completely sold on the whole Julius Randle experiment or situation or whatever you want to call it. The odds makers apparently are, though. They've got the Timberwolves at minus 13.5. We've got a total of 232 out there. Utah 19-15 against spread on the road, 25-26 against spread after a loss. Minnesota 12-20-1 against spread at home. A pretty bad home team. 18-20 against spread after win. Guys, I'm definitely taking the Utah Jazz here, getting 13.5 points. It's just too many points. This Timberwolves team seems very unlikely to me to score a blowout win here. The last time they faced the Jazz, it was a 1-point loss for Minnesota, and that was at Utah, so I think things will be different here, no doubt about that, but I think Utah probably loses this one by around 8 to 10 points, something like that. It could even go down to the wire. You never know if Utah's actually playing their guys. A lot of these dudes do not. Colin Sexton does not quit. So give me the Utah Jazz here, getting 13.5 points. Very good chance to end up in the pinned comment. Next up, guys, we got the Charlotte Hornets going on the road to take on the LA Clippers. The Hornets come into this game fresh off of a win. Kind of shocking to see that 145-134 win. The Hornets made a franchise record 26 three-pointers. Ball had 27 points and 14 assists in the win. So Duke can put up some pretty good numbers if his teammates make shots, but also it was against the Spurs. Let's not freak out too much about this, guys. I mean, we've seen the Hornets look decent occasionally, very sporadically throughout the season, but there's a reason they're 17-49 on the year. They are not a good team. They lack talent in a lot of important spots. Sure, you're starting LaMelo Ball, Josh Green, Jeffries, Bridges, and Mark Williams, but I'm not about to freak out. You've got no bench. Those starters are very injury prone and very inconsistent. This is not a team that I'm super duper high on. Once they are healthy, once they've got a full off season, once they've actually committed to trying to be a winning culture, then maybe it's time for me to take some notice here of the Charlotte Hornets. So we'll see what they do in this one. They're going on the road to take on the LA Clippers, who are 37-30 on the year. They've won 5 out of their last 6, their last 2 in a row. Nice wins, taking down the Hawks and the Heat on the road. Now they get to go back home, where they've been very good this season. This team has been plagued by injuries, especially injuries to Norman Powell, who's been dealing with hamstring problems throughout the season. If I was them, I would basically just shut him down for the rest of the regular season and just try and get that hamstring as healthy as I possibly could for the playoffs, because that's where they're really going to need him. This team suddenly has a good amount of depth. You've got guys like Chris Dunn, Bogdanovich, Coffey, Derek Jones Jr., all, in your second unit. That looks pretty good. Batum can play good minutes in that second unit as well, especially when the shot is falling. Zubac is having an amazing season. Kawhi is starting to come into his own again. This team is looking convincingly pretty decent. So I'm not shocked to see them as big favorites. They're 12.5-point favorites at home here. Charlotte 16-15-1 against the spread on the road, 9-5-2 against spread after a win. The Clippers 22-10 against spread at home. That's an NBA best against the spread mark at home. They are 20-16 against spread after a win. So there's a good amount of things to like right now about the Clippers, no doubt about that. I don't think it's time to super duper overreact to any of this either, though. The last time these two teams faced each other, we saw the Clippers get an 8-point win. That was back at the very end of January, though, so maybe it's not time to freak out, but I don't know if I can really wrap my head around this being a blowout win. The Clippers got to win by 13 to cash this one. They are at home. This is a tough spot, guys. The Hornets are in a huge letdown spot after that, crazy shooting night, so I am actually going to be leaning a bit towards the Clippers to get the win and cover here, but definitely not a play that's going anywhere into the pinned comment. I just don't trust either team right now. If the Hornets weren't in this huge letdown spot, maybe I would even want to take them in the points, but I think the Clippers probably find a way to win this in a blowout, but like I said, I just can't trust it. In our last NBA game tonight, before we hop over to that college slate, we're looking at the Oklahoma City Thunder taking on the Milwaukee Bucks. The Thunder come into this game 55-12 on the season, fresh off a 6-point road win there at Detroit. So very good stuff there. SJ put up 48 points in that win. So that's a pretty good look. He did go to the free throw line quite a bit, 10 of 10 from the free throw line. So yeah, not the most ethical buckets, not farm raised, non-GMO, so on and so forth, but still not horrible. The Thunder won this game despite struggling shooting the ball. They did a good job on the boards though, and the defense is maybe falling off a little bit. We'll see how we actually feel about this, but this is also not a full strength Oklahoma City team for this game. So we'll see what they're looking like in this one. I mean, checking out their injury report right now, looking pretty crowded. We've got Dort, we've got Jalen Williams, we've got Chet Holmgren on there as well. Aaron Wiggins, a very important bench piece, is banged up. Jalen Williams, with that hip issue, has been ruled out for this game. He officially will not play. Chet Holmgren, for rest, did not play there on Saturday. So I think there's a very good chance that he plays in this one. Dort, obviously, not playing in that Saturday one of a groin issue. He's not going to be back for a minute, I wouldn't think. And Aaron Wiggins, with an illness, didn't play there on Saturday. I think there's a chance he plays on a Sunday. But they're going to need to kind of play some guys here as they go on the road to take on the Milwaukee Bucks, who are 38-28 on the year. They won their last 2 in a row, taking down the pretty short-handed Lakers and the Pacers. So there's some positives to look at. We've seen different things between these two teams. A blowout win there for the Thunder back on February 3rd, but we all remember what happened there in the in-season tournament. So the Bucks can be a tough team, guys. 38-28 on the year, like I was saying. They're a team that needs to be winning games right now. I mean, they're currently in the 4 seed, but only 2 games up on the Pistons for the 6 seed. So definitely a squad that wants to be winning. The Bucks come into this game in terms of their health looking very, very good. They're not even putting Giannis and Dame on the injury report for this one, and maybe that's because this is a no-rest situation. That could be possibly why that's happening. So going to need to carefully monitor that. Giannis had a big game out there against the Pacers last night. Very good stuff. He did play 35 minutes, which is kind of a lot for him. Dame played 37. How good are these old guys going to be playing on a back-to-back here? I don't know. Seems a little sketchy, guys. The Bucks are getting 4 points. We've got a total of 232.5. The Thunder, 19-12-2 against the spread on the road, 6-8 against the spread on no rest, 32-19-3 against the spread after a win. That's pretty impressive, guys. Milwaukee, 18-15-1 against the spread at home, 3-9-1 against spread on no rest, and 18-19-1 against spread after a win. Guys, I'm going to be siding with the Thunder here. I don't like the Bucks playing on no rest. I don't even know if they'll end up playing everyone. That's something that could, Giannis can sit games out pretty late. You could see something weird happen middle of the day, end of the day, and all of a sudden Giannis is out, Dame's out, and the Bucks are tanking this game. So we'll see what happens, but definitely go ahead and lock in the Thunder here at -4 for me. I think this is a very good spot with a very good chance to end up in the pinned comment. Now, guys, time to hop over to the NCAA college basketball slate. We are looking at Championship Sunday here. We got all these teams in their conference tournament championship games, and it's going to be an exciting day of games. First up, we're looking at the Ivy League. We've got Cornell taking on Yale. The Big Red come into this game 18-10 on the season, fresh off of that 87-71 blowout win against Dartmouth. Thank you, Cornell. That was one of our premium picks. You cashed that for us, and we will certainly take it. Nazir Williams, a monster, 15 points per game, 50% from the field. All things pointing to this team playing pretty well. A very good game. Obviously, no way around that. They shot the ball pretty well. 10 of 29 from 3. Got to the free throw line, a reasonable amount. Had a slight edge there on the boards. Shot the ball really, really well inside the arc. And just a team that played really solid basketball there to, advance to this, final game. So very good stuff there. They obviously have had a tough time against Yale this season. One game didn't really stay so close, but the last time they faced Yale, it was at Yale, and they took the 92-88 loss. And the game not all that long ago, back on February 21st. It was kind of a back and forth affair. Cornell actually had a 5-point lead there at halftime, but couldn't really hold on to things. We saw the Big Red shoot nearly 40% from 3. Yale had an edge there on the free throw line, shooting 9 more free throws and shooting the ball pretty well, but Cornell actually out-rebounded Yale, which is a little bit interesting. And looking at the Yale Bulldogs here, they're 21-7 on the season. They're fresh off a 59-57, barely edging out Princeton there with the win to advance there. Good stuff by Princeton to make that game competitive, but it wasn't quite enough. John Polakaitis putting up 19.2 points per game, shooting over 46% from the field. Very impressive. This is a good team. 22nd in the nation in points per game, 28th in rebounding. This is a very, very strong team. They have beaten Cornell twice this year, but I don't know. I'm losing a little bit of faith here. They lost against Harvard, played a very close game at Brown, then beat Princeton by 2 points. That's pretty wild stuff. I mean, obviously you can do things to slow down the tempo of the game and stuff, but Princeton, not that good of a team. We saw Yale shoot only 3 of 15 from 3 in this game. They did have a nice, edge on there on the boards, but really not enough to get me feeling confident. So looking at the numbers, Yale, 5.5-point favorites. We've got a total of 159.5. Cornell, 17-10 against the spread, 16-9-2 to the over. Yale, 16-10-1 against the spread, 13-1 to the over-under. I think this is going to be a very competitive game. I think it's going to be really, really close down the stretch. I'm going to be siding here with Cornell getting 5.5 points. You're getting almost three full possessions here. I think we see the Cornell, this Big Red squad, keep things very, very tight here against Yale. I'm not sure who's going to win this game, guys. I really am not, but I do think you want to be on the side that's getting a bunch of points. Next up, guys, we got one of the bigger games of the day. We got the SEC Championship. We've got number 8 Tennessee taking on number 4 Florida. The Tennessee Volunteers, guys, got a big upset win. No way around it. That's an upset. A 70-65 win over number 3 Auburn, a team that maybe peaked a little bit too early this season. It's not going that hot for Auburn down the stretch. So we'll see what that loss has cost them and what it has gained here for this Tennessee squad that has played really, really well here down the stretch. Obviously, a huge test here going up against Florida, but a team that they blew out by 20 points earlier this season. So that's got to feel pretty nice. They did get blown out by Florida also. At Florida, they got destroyed. At home against Florida, they destroyed. So we'll see what guys like Chaz Lanier, Ziegler can get done in this game. Obviously, a very elite, very dynamic duo. We've loved what we've seen from this team and this squad this year. Very elite defensive numbers. Good rebounding, good offense, and that defense, yeah, that can travel, guys. That goes on the road with you in true road games. That goes with you on the road in neutral site games as well. So we'll see what they can do here against this Florida Gators team that they have very mixed results against this year. The Gators 29-4 on the year. They're fresh off a 104-82 just blowout, kind of embarrassing win there, or embarrassing loss for Alabama. A very nice win there for Florida, showing that they are one of the most dominant teams out there in all of NCAA basketball. They've beaten Alabama a couple times. This game not nearly as close, and now they get to go up against Tennessee, a team that humiliated them once this season with that crazy 64-44 win. Yeah, we saw Walter Clayton Jr. really struggle in that game. I believe he was dealing with trying to come back from an ankle injury for that one, so makes sense that he would struggle. I do not necessarily expect him to struggle in this one. The Gators have been an amazing team this season, guys. 8th in the nation in points per game, 4th in rebounding, a dominant defensive team as well. So looking at the numbers, I'm not shocked to see Florida 4.5-point favorites. We had a total of 142.5. Tennessee 18-15 against the spread, 19-14 to the under. Florida 25-8 against the spread, 17-16 to the under. 25-8 against the spread. I'm not going against that kind of trend, guys. I think they're in a big revenge spot here against the Tennessee team that embarrassed them. I think Florida's the better team. I do think this could be a close game, but I also think Florida could win this by 20. I'm taking the Gators here. I think they're the far better team. I think they're going to take care of business in this one, and we're riding a huge trend there on Florida being great against the spread. So, yeah, give me the Gators. Not too worried about anything else. Next up, guys, we're looking at the A10 Conference Tournament Championship. We've got George Mason taking on VCU. The George Mason Patriots come into this game fresh off a nice 74-64 win against St. Joseph's. Thank you, Patriots, for getting that job done for us. A very good win there. And now they've got a chance here against a VCU team that kind of embarrassed them not too long ago. They played at VCU, lost that game 70-54. Not exactly the result they were looking for. I would assume they would like to have kept things quite a bit more competitive. Over the course of the regular season, George Mason, pretty much kept things even. They finished the year 15-3 in conference play, just like VCU did. This team very solid on the boards, very solid defensively, and they kind of let the offense take care of itself. So we'll see what kind of result they can get in this time against these VCU Rams, who come into this game 27-6 on the year. They are fresh off of a 62-55 kind of competitive win there against Loyola Chicago. We'll see what that means for them in this one. Obviously, they're hoping they can replicate what they did against George Mason the last time. This team, very good on the boards, very good defensively as well. The offense is also definitely a click better than what we've seen generally this season from George Mason. The Patriots, in their loss against VCU, shot only 26.3% from three in that game. Didn't shoot the ball well from the free throw line either. And they got, we had even free throw shooting in this game, don't get me wrong, but VCU just did a good job, making a few more plays out there. And it's really, when you look at the box score, it's a little bit surprising to see this was such a, kind of looks like a blowout, like a 16-point win. So I'll be a little bit surprised. I think we're going to see more like what we saw in the first half of that game for the duration of this game. And it was very, very close, very competitive, and very low scoring. Looking at the numbers here, we see VCU 8.5-point favorites. We got a total of 127.5. George Mason 16-17 against the spread, 17-16 to the under. VCU 20-12 against the spread, 18-14 to the over. Right off the bat here, guys, I think you want to be maybe even shading a slight bit towards the under, but I like George Mason here getting 8.5 points quite a bit. I think they've got what it takes to make this much more competitive than the last time these two teams have faced each other. I know VCU's played pretty well. I know they've got Max Shugla, and he's a monster, but I think the Patriots can find a way to make this game very, very competitive down the stretch. Next on the docket, guys, we're looking at the UAB Blazers taking on the Memphis Tigers, who are currently still ranked 16th in the nation. The Blazers come into this one 22-11 on the season, fresh off a big 10-point win there against North Texas. Very good stuff, taking down East Carolina and then North Texas to make it to this championship game. They did play a pretty tight game against Memphis not too long ago. Again, they lost 88-81, so we'll see what we can take from that. The Blazers, once again, kind of an offense-only team. The defense not so hot, but the offense very good. Yaxel Lindenberg, a monster, guys. This team is very good on the glass as well, although a lot of that is kind of a, just a function of their pace of play. But regardless, I do think this is a pretty good team. Do they have what it takes to make things even closer here against a Memphis team that they did lose to last time? I mean, well, I'm going to be honest, guys, they collapsed in that game. They were at 42-36 at halftime and lost the second half 52-39 to eventually lose by 7. We saw Memphis struggle shooting the ball from deep, not something I'm shocked to see at all. The Blazers did shoot 35% from 3. They got to the line with regularity. They did a decent job with a few different things, but not so much on the boards where they got absolutely crushed. So we are worried about that for UAB here as they take on the Memphis Tigers, who are 28-5 on the season. They're fresh off of that 78-77 win against Tulane. Another extremely, extremely close game there for Memphis that they find a way to get the win despite not really playing very well. PJ Haggerty, a terrible game. 2 of 13 from the field. Kind of predictable that he would struggle coming off that monster game there against Wichita State. He only had points because of his 14 of 14 from the free throw line. The dude scored 18 points, but just barely enough. Danger actually had to go nuts, put up 23 points and 11 boards. Tulane really didn't have an answer for him, but not a good day out there for Memphis. They do get the 1-point win, despite, they really needed every advantage. They crushed on the boards, and will they be able to do that against UAB? Well, UAB wants to get out and run, guys, and I don't know. This is an interesting spot. This is a very interesting spot. I want to be fading Memphis here. They're only 4.5-point favorites, though, and we see PJ Haggerty in a huge bounce-back spot after a terrible game. We've got a total of 160.5. UAB, 17-15 against the spread, 17-14-1 to the over. Memphis 15-18 against the spread, 18-15 to the over themselves. This is a little bit of a rough spot, guys. I'm honestly leaning a little bit towards Memphis at -4.5. I think they've got some size that can bother the Blazers. They've got better athletes. I just worry about how disjointed their offense is. And now they got to win this game by 5. Like, you always want to fade Memphis as a big favorite. This is as a kind of a medium to small favorite. So give me Memphis at -4.5, but I do have my concerns about this game. Last but not least, guys, we are looking at number 18 Wisconsin taking on number 22 Michigan out there in the Big Ten Conference Tournament Championship. The Badgers 26-8 on the season. They're fresh off a huge win, knocking off Michigan State 77-74. Pretty crazy stuff there. We saw Tanji put up 32 points in that one. Yeah, absolutely a bonkers game. So we'll see what kind of response they get here going up against a Michigan team that did lose to by 3 much earlier in the season, like so long ago that it barely even matters that they've played. Obviously, John Tanji figures to be one of the best players on the floor in this game, no doubt about that. This squad, absolutely elite offensively. They're willing to shoot the 3, unlike a lot of college basketball teams out there are. And they do it well. And that's translated to a lot of success for this team, despite their rebounding numbers being a little bit concerning. Their defensive numbers are fine. I would say they're not elite. What are they going to look like here against a Michigan team that is suddenly reawakened, guys? The Wolverines, 24-9 on the season. They went through a rough stretch, losing to Illinois, Maryland, and Michigan State. But all of a sudden, blowing out Purdue, getting that crazy 1-point win there against number 11 Maryland. That was pretty nuts, guys. A buzzer beater there. Yeah, a court-length drive putting them over the top, guys. Trey Donaldson, the length of the court, that layup with 0.4 seconds left. That was crazy. That was crazy stuff. You love that kind of stuff this time of the year. It's absolutely amazing to watch. This team's been very good offensively, very good on the boards. The defense, though, is a little bit hit or miss, and now they've got to take on a team that can really light you up from long range. So look at the numbers. Michigan actually getting 3.5 points here. We've got a total of 149.5. Wisconsin, 22-12 against the spread. 20-14 to the over. Michigan 15-18 against the spread, 18-15 to the over. So guys, I think this is a great spot to take over 149.5. I definitely think this is a solid over-under play. I haven't found a way to work many of those in on this. You know, it's obviously a very short slate, but still, I think it's a good over spot. But I also really think you want to go with Wisconsin here at -3.5. I just think Tanji is too good. I don't think this Michigan run is a real thing. Beating Maryland is very impressive. Don't get me wrong. Maryland's a good team, and it was a bounce-back win after losing to Maryland pretty recently, but I just don't think this Michigan run is going to continue here. Give me Wisconsin to get the win and cover. That's all the games we have for today, guys. Hit that like button for good luck on all of your bets, and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Let me know in the comments any questions you have on today's slate. Thanks for watching. Get over to stumpthespread.com by clicking that link down in the description. Get on our free email list. Check out all of our free content over there, and we will see you guys tomorrow for more sports betting action.